If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my.
I done been around the world. Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
Good morning, everybody. What's going on, everybody, on the beautiful J.A. Cavalier channel? I am the host with the most point guard podcasting, the self-proclaimed MLB GOAT himself. It is Gunz Picks joining you here on a beautiful Saturday. I got to be doing this show solo because everybody's preparing for the football season. College football, NFL is going to be just ramping up here. So I'm still here. I'm going to give you the plays that pay the bills. I'm going to be joined with a very special host tomorrow. Shark is going to be out this week, but don't you fret. College content is going to be coming here, and I'm excited for it. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I see you just ramping up, David B, Ponzu, Hard R Saturday with the gun. That's right. We're doing this. Hook us up today, Guns. Let's go. Brewers, cash, bang. Love you guys. Just keep the chat rolling. This is going to be a little bit more interactive than we normally are because we usually just get the show pumping up, but I want to talk to you guys. Chad says Guns never lets us down. Dude, I am pumped up. I got to do shows. When I'm revved up, I got to do shows. So we got a full card today. I'm going to break down every single MLB play. Let's get this show on the road. MLB Performance starts now.
I live the bright lights, the type, the crowd lights. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they wanna be me, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
Wasting no time out of the gate. Let's go with the first game that's on the board. The Pittsburgh Pirates are going to play the Cubbies. Mike Burrow is going to be on the mound against Shota Imanaga. Of course, Imanaga kind of having some struggles, 1-3 straight up in his last 4 starts. Thought this was going to be a total type of situation when I capped this last night, seeing the 9.5s on the board. And as you know, when I see high totals in Wrigley Field, I love taking the overs, but if this is steamed down to 8.5, I do think there is some validity to this over. When we talk about the two pitchers, Burrow's going to be in the mound, of course, 2-8 straight up in his last 10 starts. Not the greatest pitcher. He's faced Chicago on the road already. The total was 7, went under in that game. Similar line structure at plus 186 is what you're seeing right now. However, the total is 8.5 right now. Was 9.5, steamed down to 8.5. Opening total, key point on this one. Shohei Imanaga too, 3-1 straight up and to the run line in his last 4 starts, but he's 7-3 in his last 10 versus the NL. And he's lost his last 2. So be a little bit weary on this one. I think there's some validity on the first 5 as well. He's only faced 2 NL teams at home. However, he's 1-1 in those situations. Another high total for him. He faced Pitt back on April 9th. The total was 9. So we're kind of getting below that. So I thought there was an over situation knowing it was 9.5. Now it's down to 8.5. Maybe giving some value on that over. Seeing how Shota Imanaga's kind of struggled lately. The problem is he's a lefty. And if you look at if the statistics for lefties with Pittsburgh, not great. The batting average is low. I think they're second lowest in the NL, and winning percentage, they're third lowest. So if there's a lean that I have on this one, it's a little bit too heavily juiced. I don't want to take him on the run line here. I'm leaning towards the first 5 minus half a run for Imanaga. Kind of get that bounce back element. He's going against a divisional opponent that can't hit lefties. Might be a good spot there. Getting to the chat, seeing you guys rolling. H-Town says, oh, shit, doing the show alone today. Hell yeah, man. Give him the horn for that one. Give him that one, too. Give him this one. About that one. There we go. I haven't used my buttons in a while. Just started getting it working again. Coldest says 5.5 under. I think you're talking about Shota in strikeouts. The problem with that is I think they have a very high strike percentage. I was talking to my friend Mark Zeno today, and he's very much keened in on some of the props. He's looking for the over on that one. Kind of tough. We'll see how it goes here today. Pirates horrible against left-handed pitching on top of being the worst road lineup in MLB. Can't disagree with you. That's why I kind of want to do the first 5 on that one. Don't want to mess with the full game because you have some chicanery. The problem is can't make it an official play because it feels like Philly Washington yesterday. I mean, if you saw that game 2-2, you had Wheeler on the mound. He's 8-1 in first fives in those situations, and he couldn't get it done. So I'm a little bit worried. This is just a lean, but I probably lean first five minus half a run there for Imanaga. All right, next game on the board. We're going to Texas and Toronto. Great matchup here for this team. You have Patrick Corbin going against Eric Lauer. All right, it's not the best starting pitching matchup. We're not talking about the aces. We're not talking about juggernauts, but you have Corbin, who's 5-2 straight up in his last 7 starts. At least Texas is 3-1 to the over in Corbin's last 4, 5-1 to the over as a road dog of plus 140 or less. And we're seeing that on the board right now. He's still a low, he's still a plus 130 dog on that spot. So as long as he's below that Mendoza line, a lot of overs hit there for Corbin. 4-1 to the over in his road starts versus AL teams in his last 5 as well. Now he's going against Eric Lauer. Eric Lauer, 9-2 straight up Toronto is in his last 11 starts, 4-0 straight up in Lauer's home starts. So it's more looking towards the Toronto side here. And then, of course, Lauer is minus when he's been a minus 140 plus money line favorite at home once this year. It was against an NL West team. I'm sorry, an AL West team. It was against the Angels, and it resulted in a win. So kind of similar line structure here that you're seeing right now. You're seeing minus 154s, minus 150s on the board. And it's set to that line structure where he did get the win versus the Angels, an AL West team. It's going against another AL West team. I think there's correlation there, leaning towards the Toronto side in that game. So that is the way I would play that, especially with Lauer on the mound. It seems like Toronto has shown up with Lauer on the mound, 9-2 straight up in his last 11 starts, and H-Town agrees. Cash, I'm sorry, you talked about yesterday. David B loves the Jays today. Can't disagree with you there. Did you call the Cubs this morning? Yeah, I said I lean towards the first 5 minus half a run. That's where I'm going with that one. 2 earned for Lauer. It's like 2, right? Yeah, I can see that. And yeah, he said leans on the first 5 minus half a run. All right, let's go to the next game on the board. We're just moving today. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video if you're watching this right now live with me. That is what it gets us in the algorithm of all algorithms that YouTube deems fit. All right, let's go to the next game. Philly versus the Nationals. Right up the road from Gunz Picks Studios, not too far actually. And you have a good pitching matchup. Really want to bite my hand for taking the half a run with Philly, trying to run it back with that team. However, I think there's probably a pendulum swinging the other way. Of course, Philly winning the game late. If you took them on the run line for the full game, congrats to you, bettors. But Taijuan Walker is going to be on the mound. And if you know his numbers, at least in his last 4 starts, Phillies really showed up for him. 3-1 straight up in his last 4, 3 road, 1 home. When Walker's a favorite here, this high, though, he's 1-3 in his starts when he's a favorite of minus 150 or less. What you're seeing here, you're seeing a very short line here for Philly as I'm looking it up right now. I'm seeing minus 146 right now. So it's still below that minus 150 line. And like I said, he's 1-3 straight up in those situations. And he's going against Cade Cavalli. So low number for him, but it's his third start, actually. 1-1 straight up in those spots. But this will be his first start against an NL team, and he's a shorter dog than he has been in all his other starts this year because he played against the Athletics and Kansas City Royals. Like I said, I will reiterate that for you. He is a shorter dog here than he was against the Athletics and the Kansas City Royals. Do you think those teams are better than the Phillies? I think not. That is very suspicious to me. So let the books tell you where the line's going here. And knowing that Walker has underperformed 1-3 straight up as a favorite of minus 150 or less. So when he's that short favorite, it's a bad spot to be taking Philly. I'm not making it official yet. It may make my card if I got the cojones to do it. But I think we're looking at the Nats here. Full game plus 124. I think you can get it at. Maybe if you shop around, you can get better lines out there. But man, I think this Washington team, it was tied for a while, and they just let the bullpens got away from them, and Philly took over. I think we may be looking at a Washington spot here, folks. Call me nuts, but I think this is probably the spot to be taken on this one. Turnbuckle Tommy comes in, says Nats are batting a team 155 with .510 OPS. Walker has owned the Nationals. Why is the line so short and he's not a heavy favorite? That's all I'm going to ask about this one. Good stat there for the Tomster. I swear anybody fade, anytime I fade either of these teams, they smack. And I hear you, man. I got caught yesterday trying to run it back on the half a run first five. I got it on Thursday, couldn't get it on Friday. I was really pissed about that one. And David B comes in and goes, I agree, but I can't take the Nats. I think it being minus 150 is 140 is an error. I don't know if books make many errors in this. So especially when there's only 15 games to cap on that. Maybe in college football, they make errors, but on this one, it's tough. We shall see. We move on to the next game on the board. And I'm wearing the uni for a reason here today. Miami going on the road to go play at Fenway Park, kid. Boston losing the first game of the series. Actually, did they win last night? I can't even remember. Bear with me a second. Did they win? Yeah, they won. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, they won 2-1. That was the late inning antics there. So they're coming off a win, and they're going against Cal Quantrill. And if you've looked at Cal Quantrill for the Miami Marlins this year, it seems like Miami always shows up for him in every single which angle. Home, split, favorite, dog, it doesn't matter. Okay. Quantrill gets it done. 7-3 straight up in his last 10 starts, 4-2 straight up in his last 6 road starts. And Miami is 4-1 straight up versus AL teams in Quantrill starts. Then you got to look at the under situation. Very much under-oriented and trending with Quantrill. 8-1 to the under in his last 9 road starts. Ironically enough, he's trailed in a lot of these road situations. 1-3-1 in first fives in his last 5 road games. He's only faced 2 AL teams, and he's 2-0 in those positions. He's also 2-0 to the first 5, and he's been a heavy dog in those situations and still got the W's there for Miami. He's plus 152 right now, and he's going against Brian Bayo. Brian Bayo, 4-2 straight up in his last 6 starts at home. 4th time Bayo has been a heavy favorite. We're talking about minus 180s in this situation. Minus 150 or more, I'm looking at the situation. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 to the run line in those spots. Also, Bayo versus NL teams, though, 1-6 straight up in his last 7. So kind of bouncing back and forth of how to bet this game. You want to trust Miami because they're just the red hot team, and in every situation, in every matchup, you should be trusting Miami, whether it be on the run line or whether it be as a favorite in most situations, because they seem to be able to get it done. Brian Bayo is not really that trustworthy. However, when he's this big of a favorite and the books are weighing him this big of a favorite, maybe a situation we'd be looking at Boston by margin. I don't know how to bet this one. The total's 9. It's not a low total either. So I'm a little bit hesitant to even take one side or the other. I just passed on this game completely. Lacrosse says Miami plus a half a run, 1.5. I can't talk you off that one. Don't hate that at all. That's probably the best way to play this if I had to take a bet. I'm not going to. I'll say that. Bayo been inconsistent when he's been a favorite, except when he's been a big favorite. That's the key point on this one. He's been 3-0 straight up into the run line when he's been a favorite of minus 150 or more. But when we're talking about under that, yes, you're correct. He's been very inconsistent in those positions. All right, let's get past this Boston BS and let's get into some plays that I can give out here officially. Seattle versus the New York Metropolitans. And by God, what is wrong with the Mets? What is wrong with the Mets? Are they ever going to get off the snide? I mean, being a Mets fan must stink. I would just quit watching baseball if I was a Mets fan. They just cannot get it done. They're 2-14 in their last 16 games, and they're just absolutely stepping on their foot every single time. They're going against Brian Wu, and Brian Wu on the road, not great. 1-6 straight up in his last 7 road starts, and 3-6 straight up as a road favorite. So he's not a good pitcher to back in this situation. However, he's going against Nolan McLean. First start of the year, first appearance of the year. There's a gamble there. If you want to take the Mets, go ahead. I just don't think you should back this. The problem with this game is I saw last night it was at minus 130 in favor of Seattle. Now it's dropped to minus 112. So the Sharps are already buying this thing down. Why trust the Mets at all? I can't put money on the Mets anymore. I just can't do it. Even though it's probably a Mets spot, knowing you're going against a pitcher that is terrible on the road, I don't want to trust a pitcher that hasn't had a start, hasn't even thrown a pitch in the Big Apple. So I don't know what to do with this game. So I decided to pass. Ryan Grimes says, no, we're taking the first 5. No, he wants to know if we can take the first 5. No, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know anything about Nolan McLean. Is he coming up from the minors or something like that? I have no idea. Yeah, Woo's just bad on the road. Good morning, Brandon. Nice to see you. The Mets are like a nice car, and after a few miles, you're like, oh, it's not it. I mean, it could be a lemon. You know, they give you the wrong Carfax or something like that. You're just driving this like fast, hot, like Lamborghini, and all of a sudden, just the engine blows up in front of your face. You'd be like, I thought this was a nice car. What happened? I mean, it's unbelievable. I go, they cashed that okay in 2 of the last 3 for me. I mean, yeah, if you want to go trust playing a pitcher that doesn't have any stats, I would say go ahead. At this point, fade the Mets at all costs. I can't disagree with you on this one. If you're going to be putting your hard-earned dollars on the Mets right now, by God, just take it and burn it. That's what I would say to that. Don't take this game at all. At least for me, I'm just going to be passing on this one completely. Let's go to the next game here. A really good matchup with a red-hot team. These Brewers, man. Wow. They're playing their best baseball now. Hopefully it continues into September. I don't know. But my God, this team just never gives up. They were down so many runs. I think they were down, 8-1 at one point in the game yesterday. And they brought the game back in like an inning and a half. And they actually helped people who took the first 5 at least get the push. If you took them on the money line, if you took them the full game like myself, you cashed another ticket. But you got Quinn Priester on the mound. And this kind of hurts me a little bit because you come from the Red Sox. They got rid of him, and this guy's just been red hot for them. 10-1-2 in first 5s. He's won 11. They've won 13 straight with him on the bump. Priester is also 2-0 straight up versus Cincinnati. And the last time they faced each other, he was on the road. He's a plus 114 dog. He's on the road again. But now you're seeing him as a minus 126 favorite. A little bit of a line shift there. Then you got Zach Littell. Very good stats on Littell as far as him playing with Tampa. But since he's been with Cincinnati, he's okay, I would say. Third start for him in Cincinnati. 1-1 in those positions. He did win as a favorite. He didn't win as a dog, but he was a heavy dog in one of those starts. Second time he's been a home dog in all his starts this year. And I'm also including the time he was with Tampa. Do you know what the first time he was a dog this year? It was against Milwaukee when he played for Tampa. He was a plus 106 money line dog. You know what happened in that game? He won 4-3. I think that's kind of ironic. However, in first 5, he's won 6-3 in his home starts, and that includes going back to Tampa. So, do we want to step in front of the flame that is the Milwaukee Brewers? How are you going to do it? Streak's got to end eventually, right? I mean, I don't want to step in front of Priester because Priester's just been red hot and it's tough to get in front of a streak. But Zach Littell has beaten Milwaukee already this year and pitched very well in that start. So, Milwaukee's just too red hot. And I really, 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 really want to take Cincinnati here just to get cute. But, man, you get cute with Milwaukee, you'll go broke as of late. Stephen Harrison says, with Milwaukee, seeing him again makes me really want to back the Brewers now. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, he wins in every single money line structured situation, too, with Quinn Priester. Anyone agree with Kansas City money line? Only thing I trust so far until this coffee kicks in. We'll get to that game in a second. Trying to catch a falling knife is stupid, especially only plus 115 for the Reds. Yeah, I hate walking in front of streaks like this, but I kind of feel like this is a Cincinnati spot. Just a lean. Won't make my card. And I took Milwaukee yesterday. I'm just not going to do it again. I'm going to find a better position down the road. All right, next game on the board. We're going to Cincinnati. And you got the woeful Atlanta Braves. Joey Wentz is going to be on the mound for him. Coming off a win against Miami. but he's 1-4 straight up in his 5 starts this year. That is the problem. Is he got a little bit of an uptick in improvement coming? We shall see. But he's going against Slade Ciccone. So if you know his numbers, 4-2 straight up in his last 6 starts, 4-1 to the over in his last 5, but he's 2-4 straight up in his last 6 home starts. So as much as, I think Atlanta got the one win yesterday, 2-0. Do we want to back the bounce back here with Cleveland? The problem is I just hate Ciccone at home. I just hate him at home. I like him better on the road in a lot of situations. He's kind of wishy-washy. He's very coin flippy in a lot of situations. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. I think they're just better spots on the board. And for me, I just had to pass on this one. Yeah, he says, I don't know how to read this series. I don't either. I don't think I've made a pick on this series yet. Cleveland is getting to left-handed pitching. We shall see on that one. Actually, stay away from this game because Bruins. Oh, you talked about the Brewers game. Lacrosse says Cleveland plus 1.5. I mean, if you can get 1.5 on that one, I mean, I guess you're doing it specialty. I guess he's minus 184. Very heavily juiced on that one. And that's kind of the weird line on this one, too, is you see minus 104 here for Atlanta, but they're minus 1.5 on FanDuel right now, which is kind of weird considering Cleveland is minus 112, but plus 1.5. Kind of leaning towards an Atlanta side if you're looking just strictly at the numbers and not doing the backup to do it. Just a tough game. And who knows? I'm just going to pass on this one completely. And we keep it moving. Baltimore versus the Houston Astros. Of course, Houston getting pelted yesterday by the Baltimore Orioles. Jeez. Framer Valdez was on the mound. He just hasn't done well. The under did hit a 7-0 outcome in that game. And there was a pitching change and a guy that I don't think has started. It looks like the Baltimore Orioles are going bullpen on this one. They have Rico Garcia that's going to be on the mound. Don't have any stats on this one. It looks like it's going to be his first start of the year. But what we have here is Jason Alexander on the mound. And I'm not talking about George Costanza. Bring in your Steinfeld references now with Jason Alexander on the mound. Or Houston is 4-1 straight up when he's been on the bump this year, and he's 4-1 in first 5s as well. And you see when they made the pitching change, there was an uptick in the line. You're seeing almost minus 140s on the board right now with Houston. I think we're just going to be bouncing back Houston on the bounce back on this one. I'm not going to be taking Baltimore here at all. I just think this is a Houston spot coming off that bad loss yesterday. They will get the runs, in my opinion. And Turnbuckle says Jason has been very good. Other than 2 blow-up starts, he's been real good. Yeah, he's had a few bad ones, but they've gotten the W's for him. He's only got 1 loss. Houston's only lost 1 of his starts this year. David B agrees. He likes Houston. Did I say? Yeah, Jason Alexander is on the mound here today. Coldest young pitching, a damn near perfect game, was crazy. I guess he was talking about some other plays on the board. But yes, the way I play this one, we got to be doing Houston, and we keep it moving. All right, next game, we have some divisional matchup here with the Chicago White Sox going against the KC Royals. Sean Burke is going to be on the mound here for the White Sox. Now, 1-10 straight up, Chicago White Sox are in Burke's last 11 starts and 2-7 on the road. So you've seen it, just bad all the way around. Chicago White Sox are also 3-8 straight up in Burke's last 11 starts. It's a dog of plus 150 or less, including 6 straight losses in those positions. And I'm looking at the line right now. It is dipped to plus 122. It's very low for a Burke start, a Burke pitcher who just hasn't done well. But what I like about this is you got a high total here at 9.5, right? Burke's been a road dog versus KC before. He was plus 214 road dog back on May 6th, which resulted in a 1-run loss and an under. Now you're seeing plus 122, which is telling you it's probably more of a Chicago White Sox side. I just don't trust Burke. Total in that game, though, in his first start versus KC was 8.5. Now you're seeing 9.5 on the board. The total is where I think is a little bit more enticing to me because you got Michael Lorenzen on the mound, right? First start since July 6th, so he's got a little bit of rust on him. KC is 5-2 in his last 7 starts, but he hasn't started in a while, like I said. mostly as a dog. So he's not used to this position of being a minus 144 favorite, which is what we're seeing on the board currently. Only third time he's been a favorite in this position. He's 1-1 straight up, 2-0 to the over in those spots. So maybe there's a positioning here where we can just take the over in this game. Lorenzen faced Chicago White Sox back on June 8th. The total was 9. That went over. Highest total in this matchup all season, too, is between Chicago White Sox and the KC Royals. I think we're looking at an over here. So the way I play this is runs. Who knows who's going to win this game? Can the Chicago White Sox on this short line do it? Well, historically, Burke, doesn't matter what the line is. He stinks. But I think runs are going to be scored from given up by these two pitchers and maybe even the bullpen as well. So give me the Chicago White Sox KC over 9.5 as the play, baby. All right, Turnbuckle says, I'm not trusting Lorenzen coming back from injury, but you can trust the runs, can't you? David B. leaned towards the White Sox. I wish it wasn't Burke. I wish it was. I wish Adrian Hauser would go back to the Chicago White Sox and not play for Tampa. He stinks over at Tampa. Have we talked about that game? Can't wait to talk about him. He pitches today. KC money line is where you want to go with this. Minus 144. Sure. Another series. I don't know how to read it. I mean, everybody's all over the place on this one. We're seeing a little bit of the White Sox. We're seeing a little bit of the KC money line. So 50-50 is probably where I think this game is going to be. But let's play with the total. Let's take that over today and cash a ticket. All right, next one's game that's going to be on the board here. Whoops, hit the wrong button. Bang. Detroit versus the Minnesota Twins. Another interdivisional matchup, another AL Central matchup back-to-back that we're going to be talking about here. And you got Casey Mize on the mound here for the Detroit Tigers. And if you know anything about Mize, when he is on the bump, Detroit shows up for him. 7-2 straight up in his last 9 starts, and he's 13-2 to the over. In his last 15 starts, by the way. Seeing a total of 8.5 on the board currently as far as the total. And it's a 50-50 coin toss as far as the line. We're seeing minus 108s on the board right now, minus 110s. So even the books are perplexed on where to put this game from a side perspective. Fourth time Mize has faced Minnesota this year. He's 2-1 straight up into the over in his starts versus Minnesota. And he faced Minnesota on the road once already on a similar line structure. It was minus 105. Back on April 13th, lost that game, similar total as well at 8.5. So the books didn't even, they just looked at the previous matchup with Mize and just said, yeah, I'll just set the line at that. I think he faced Wood Richardson in that start, but not here. He's facing Zebby Matthews. And Zebby Matthews is 2-1 straight up in his home starts and 2-0 in conference. Lean towards the Minnesota side, but it's tough to not back Mize in a lot of these situations. He has lost to Minnesota in a similar line structure on the road before. So maybe we're going to see a repeat, knowing that Matthews has shown up at least against conference opponents this year. Tough game to take. I don't have a play on this one because it's basically 50-50 all across the board. I just think it's super sharp on every which angle in this game, so I'm going to pass on this one. Brandon likes the over. I love when the money line is a toss-up. 2 for the over. I guess I can't talk you off that one because there's a lot of, hot streaks with Mize on the mound. What I say, 13-2 to the over and Mize starts. Maybe that's the way to play this one. When these two teams meet, the over seems to hit as a regular thing. Can't talk you off that one, Turnbuckle. Detroit again for me. Stephen Hairston says, and going back to that Royals stat line, 214 against Burke. That's interesting. That is interesting. Maybe that's why the line is so low on the Chicago White Sox. That's interesting. But yeah, on that one, it's tough. I don't really have a play on that one. Maybe I will later as I dissect this a little bit further because a lot of the games are going to be late today. We're looking at 2 early games and then a few 4 o'clocks, and then most of the slates at night. So a lot of time to research and digest this one. But for me, I'm going to keep it moving along. Let's go to the next game that's on the board here. We got the Yankees going up against the St. Louis Cardinals. And get my Chiron up there. All right, yeah, when we look at this matchup, it is Max Fried versus Sonny Gray. Maybe the best pitching matchup of the day. The problem is when we look at the Yankees on the road have just been absolutely unbackable in every single angle here, right? Max Fried is on the mound, 1-4 straight up in his last 5 starts and to the run line. So, Max Fried is going to be a favorite in most situations this year, unless he's playing like the Dodgers or something like that. Also, you got to look at the Yankees, 0-6 to the run line, 1-5 straight up in Fried's road starts as a favorite of -160 or less. And he's also 5-1 to the over in those spots, which we're seeing with the line here at -146 in favor of Max Fried. And he's going against Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray, third time in a row that he's been a dog. He's already 2-0 in those positions, so he does well as a dog. And also St. Louis is 5-2 straight up, 5-2 to the over. In Gray starts as a dog this year, 2-1 straight up at home as a dog. So even though the line is not really a Sonny Gray line, which is basically him as a dog, he seems to have that chip on his shoulder and get the job done. Also, you got to look at how Gray has done versus AL teams. 6-0 straight up, 4-2 to the over in those spots this year. And then with the Yankees, like I said, they've just been very bad on the road. 7-19 in their last 26 road games. They're 7-2 in the over in their last 9 road games versus the NL. So I think we can take this 2 ways. I think it's going to be St. Louis money line, and I think it's going to be an over spot here. Perfect position here for me. I trust Sonny Gray. He's done well versus the AL. And I don't trust Max Fried on the road as a favorite. I mean, he's just been bad. Like I said, 0-6 and 1-5 straight up. You want Fried, if you want a Fried line, you want Fried to be a very heavy favorite. And I'm talking like -180 up. You're seeing him as a +146 right now. That is just bait. That is bait. That is bait. I think we're going to be taking the St. Louis side on this one. St. Louis with a bounce back. I believe they lost yesterday. I didn't have a play on that one. The chat agrees. Turnbuckle Tommy says, Sonny Gray +125, tempting. I don't know what happened with him. Yeah, I don't either. I don't know what happened with the Yankees. They just fell apart. I like Gray +125. And you're seeing that right now on the board. You want Fried at home. That's correct. And you want Fried at home as a heavy favorite. You don't want him on the road. So yeah, I agree with you there. And of course, he says Herrera under 1.5 hit runs, RBIs. He's liking that one, and Brandon likes the over in that game. Yeah, I do too. I think there's going to be runs scored from both of these squads. So let's see what happens. Go Cardinals. Go over. All right, next game on the board, we're going to Arizona and the Colorado Rockies. Tap the Rockies with a little bit of Coors Light. We got Ryan Nelson that's going to be in the mound versus Chase Dolander. And if you've watched this series, high totals, they're getting overs in the first 5, and then there's no runs scored in the rest of the innings, so the unders are hitting. Pretty ironic here. Could we see an over? We're seeing 11.5s on the board, so the books are still weighing this heavy to the over side. But I like a different angle on this game. Let me tell you what it is. Ryan Nelson's going to be on the mound. He's 1-5 straight up in his last 6 starts, 5-1 to the over, full game. He's also 1-7 in his last 8 road starts, and he's only been a favorite twice in those spots, 1-1 in those positions. Now he's a favorite. He's going against Colorado and Chase Dolander. Dolander has been very good on the run line, 7-3 in his last 10. He's also 9-1 to the under, so he's been an under pitcher. But if you look at him in first 5s, a lot of runs scored with Dolander on the bump. If you look at his, even though he's got an under streak, you look at first 5s, the run totals have averaged 8.4 runs per game when he's been on the bump. So it's been one of those situations, like I said, a lot of runs scored early and then nothing late, which kills the total. And he's an under pitcher all the way, but he's not an under pitcher in first 5s. So I've been doing this all series long, and I'm just running it back to the well. I'm taking the first 5 over. I took it Thursday. I took it Friday. By God, I'm going to do it again. I like this play. And if you can get it with some juice at 5.5, I think if you go to MGM, you can get it at -140. But if you want to take it at 6, if you take it at 6, I'd say worst case scenario, this is going to be a push. And you can get it at -110 right now on MGM. I wouldn't take the 6.5. I think that's dangerous territory. But taking it at 6, I think that's the way I would take this one. And if you want to be a little bit conservative and pay for a little bit of juice, just take the -140 and 5.5. I think that does cash today on the first 5. That's the way I play this one. David B says, give me the D-backs. All right, go ahead. I mean, I know Colorado's just a terrible, terrible team. And even though those statistics with Ryan Nelson on the bump are terrible, but both teams just suck so bad. Arizona's given up and Colorado obviously gave up in April. That's tough there. It's crazy because start of the season, I took Fried for so many green tickets, but he just off, man. He got to be dealing with something. I don't know. Yeah, it could be an injury, could be a tear, could be a strain. Who knows what's going on with him? Very tough to diagnose, I would say. Grimes likes to team total over. Yeah. I think there's runs due to be scored against Dolander today. I can't talk you off of that one. And Brandon, I don't hate plus 1.5 with either. I don't hate it. I just don't think the juice was that enticing to me when I looked at it. Plus 100. It's kind of favoring the 1.5, maybe a little bit of a bounce back there for the D-backs. Minus 174 is the money line total on that one. Heavily juiced. Didn't want anything with the side. Solar's in the building. How about the Jays last night? Great call, buddy. Yes, run first inning. Yeah, I mean, why not? If you're going to be playing a first 5 over, might as well project some runs. However, this series has been kind of crazy. Runs have been kind of scored late, 3rd inning, 4th inning, 5th inning in a lot of these situations. Maybe dangerous territory if you're playing with that. I just noticed it because I've been keened eyes on it with the first 5 overs, and I've just noticed that the first, you either get a run or you don't. Sometimes it's 1-0, sometimes it's 0-0, but somehow, some way, later innings in the first 5 inning windows, they seem to be able to get the runs done on the over. All right, I've talked enough about this game. Let's keep it moving. Tampa versus the San Francisco Giants. Not the 49ers, the Giants. I'm thinking football here for a second. Adrian Hauser is going to be on the mound, and I've been very high on Hauser all season long. The problem is he got traded. He went to the Tampa Bay Rays. What happened since he's been with the Tampa Bay Rays? 2 bad starts. Gave up 4 runs in each one of those starts. So he's just not a backable pitcher anymore, changing the teams. 3rd start with Tampa. He's 0-2 straight up into the run line. All as a dog. He's a dog here, and he's going against Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander, not a backable pitcher as well. 1-9 straight up in Verlander's last 10 starts. 3-14 in his last 17 starts. He's not the same Verlander anymore, and it's health reasons. I know that, but it's just tough to back him knowing that he's going against a regressing pitcher in Hauser. I look at the total on this one in a first 5, though, because when Verlander's on the bump, the totals average 5.25 runs per game in first 5s versus AL teams. And he's going against an AL team here. I think if you're looking at the line right now, you're seeing 8s on the board. So you could probably get this at 4.5. And I think that's justifiable. Maybe even find a 4 out there with some juice. I would probably play it that way. I think runs could get scored, knowing that Adrian Hauser has been consistently giving up runs. Even though it's tough to trust San Francisco's offense, I think runs can be scored by somebody's going to give up runs. It's going to be either Verlander or Hauser. That's the way I play this one. I think over on the first 5 runs is the way to play this one. Of course, Source says pass. Yeah, on the side in the total full game. I agree with you on this one. Turnbuckle looks the Rays plus 110. I've seen what Hauser can do. And soon as he gets comfortable, he'll get back into dealing. Until that happens, I'm not going to be backing him. I think Hauser will do well versus the Giants. I think you, me, and your uncle could do well against the Giants offense. They just absolutely are terrible. Always fade Verlander. I don't disagree with you on this one, but the problem is you got to back Hauser. I'd just rather back runs than back Hauser, especially how he's been playing with the Tampa Bay. But I can't talk you off of that one. Very close game yesterday, 7-6. Could we see some runs scored yet again? We shall see. Next game on the board, San Diego versus the LA Dodgers. A lot of divisional matchups here today. Problem is, I don't know where to put a lot of these teams in this position. You got Dylan Cease's going to be on the mound here for San Diego. He's 3-8-1 in first 5s in his last 12 road starts. He's 1-7 in first 5s in his last 8 road starts. So unbackable in first 5 inning windows. He's going against Blake Snell. Blake Snell, 4 starts this year. He's the Dodgers are 3-1 straight up in full games, 2-2 in first 5s in his last 4 starts this year. The way I like to take this one, I like to take the first 5. And the reason why I like to take the first 5 is, like I said to you, road Dylan Cease, when he's on the bump, he just kind of doesn't play well. I'm seeing the line at minus 148 for the first 5, even though the full game on this is minus 132 for the Dodgers. And I think this is telling a story here that is probably going to be Dodgers have the lead, and we'll see what happens in the bullpens. Good matchup here, but I think in the first 5, the Dodgers are going to get it done. That's the way I play this game. Give me the Dodgers. Money line, first 5. That's the way I play it, even though Soares thinks C's will deal today. We shall see. Unless my memory is bad on under Dodgers. Okay. I actually lean Padres, in my opinion. Yeah, if you want to take them full game, that's why I don't trust a full game. I just think there's going to be a lead, and then things kind of figure itself out, just like he did with the Red Sox. Fair enough. Problem is road 1-7 in first 5s. I'm not saying he doesn't get to the dub. I'm just saying in first 5s, I can't trust him if he's 1-7 in his last 8. We shall see what happens. Last game on the board. We're going with the LA Angels versus the Athletics. Tough matchup from a side perspective. But I think if you're going to be playing this game, I think you got to look towards the total with these two teams matching up. Of course, the Athletics getting off the snide yesterday, putting up a ton of runs, absolutely dominating the Angels for the first time this year. I believe they are 1-7. The Angels are 7-1 versus the Oakland Athletics. I'm sorry, 6-1. You got to look at Anderson, though. Unbackable. Last 11 starts, he's 2-9 in those positions. 5 straight road losses as well. 4th time in Anderson starts, the total has been 10 or more. That is going to be key on this one. We're looking at the total 3-0 to the over in those positions. Now, he's got Luis Morales. It's only his 2nd start of the year. He won his first start against Baltimore. He was a plus 106 road dog in that situation. Won the game 3-2. Game went under, but this is just a higher total here when he's playing at home at that little, I call it the Little League Park. I'll just call it that for now. 10.5. It was 10 yesterday. Now it's 10 now. It's the highest total in the series so far. And they're 7-1 to the over in those situations. Like I said, I think, it was 7-1. I'm sorry. I got that wrong on my notes. But like I said, 7-1 to the over. Overs have been hitting in this when these two teams meet up. Then you have the Angels that are 7-1 straight up. Backable probably towards the Angels side. However, they are a dog in this situation, which is very, very high indicator there that we're probably looking at an athletic spot on the side. Even though Morales is only in the 2nd start, he did pitch well versus Baltimore. But I think there's going to be runs scored in this one. And the line is telling you that. I think we're looking at an over spot all day long between these two teams. Screaming over, like Brandon says. Doobie Man says, hey, boys, how we're doing? It's a pattern with them. Angels love to upset teams, but against bad teams, they usually play well. We shall see. The rule for the Angels, fade them versus teams that are not good. Back them versus elite teams. Yes, I like on run lines and stuff. I don't disagree with you there. I hate Anderson, though. I hate Tyler Anderson. Team total over on the Athletics. You might as well, if you like the over, take them every which angle. Just pepper it on overs on that one. That's the way I play this one. But that is running down the board. 43 minutes in the building. And I got best bets for you. Let's go! Best bet in the building. Man, can't talk me off that St. Louis spot here, money line. I think that is the best one on the board. I am going to back Sonny Gray at home, and he's done well versus the AL. He's continued to just absolutely dominate that side of the league. And he's going against Max Fried, who's just terrible on the road, and you got him on a short line here. This just bait for the public bettors. I think we're going to be back in St. Louis on this one. And I also like the over in the Athletics game, like I talked about the last game of the board, Angels versus Athletics. I think there's going to be a lot of runs scored yet again. A little bit of a sweat there. A lot of runs were scored in the first 5, and it was like nothing. And then all of a sudden, bottom of the 8th, we got our runs. We got our over, and I think it's going to happen the same way. Runs. Give me the over 10.5 with the Athletics. No parlay today. David B in the building. I agree with you, Gunz. I think cards is my favorite bet today. I know. I love it today. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for joining me. Everybody, Peter Groznia, Jay Main likes the team total over as well. All you beautiful bastards out there, please like and subscribe to the Gunz Picks channel. I'm not the Gunz Picks channel. I'm sorry, wrong channel. J.A. Cavalier channel. If you have not done so already, if you're watching this for the first time, or you've just never subscribed and you're just an avid watcher, do that. Also, hit the like button, get into the comment section, drive up the engagement here. You guys have been great in the chat today. You guys have spent time. I appreciate that. Go check out all my deals. College football, I'm doing a 2-for-1, a buy one, get one. I'm selling my, if you guys don't want to buy the season, I totally get that for college football and NFL. Why don't you just try me out for a month and see how it goes? Let me see if I can make you money in September and October. You can get my NFL, you can get my college football. Each are $100, or you could get both for $175 right now for the month. And I just only give you a month. If you sign up today before next Saturday, you get a second month for free. So you get me September and October. All my plays, college football, NFL. Please join up. It's going to be a beautiful time. It's my best sport. College football is my best sport, and NFL is just a close second. I made over I think between the two sports, I made 70 units last year in both. And I'm just going to get better. That's how it works for me. I learn from my mistakes. I note my mistakes, and I don't make the same mistake twice. That's how I get through football season, and I've exponentially grown the last 5 years. I'm over 130 units in my last 4 years. So that's what you can get is money, money, money. Please join up. David B says, I just watched your college preview, Gunz. Where do you keep those hats? Back here, if you look back at my wall, there's some hung up, and there's actually a little easel here where I keep all the hats. So I have a lot of SEC hats. I have a lot of Big 12 hats. Not a lot of some of the hats. You just can't get good ones, man. Let's go. Why lose? Cash it. Love you guys. Gunz is fire at football. Yes, Peter Grozny has been following me for years. And I can't deny it, man. The max bets haven't hit, but you know what I do? I give you my season on top of it. So that's the beautiful thing about it is like, when I know I don't hit a max bet, don't worry. I'm going to give you the rest of my picks for the rest of the season. And for some reason, the max bets, I'm cursed at 50 dimers, but I'm great at 30 dimers. So I don't understand the dichotomy of it. I'm capping them the same way, but I'm not hiding from you guys. I'm obviously, I shouldn't have taken the Mets at a half a run. I'm not going to trust the Mets anymore. That's where you learn your lessons in gambling. You just kind of keep moving forward and you keep building momentum. And when the hot streak comes, that's where you're going to start seeing the bets start to go up, up, up. Going back in the Snyder thing, let's have ourselves a damn weekend because this is the last Saturday, guys, where we're not going to have football. This is, real football. Competitive regular season football. We have preseason. I understand that, but we're talking about full starters. We're playing for keeps. We're playing for wins and losses. We're playing for playoff contention. It starts next Saturday with week 0, and then it's just going to be a beautiful thing. Week 1, and then you're just into NFL, and it's just going to be absolutely getting good, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. So please, like I said, go check me out on _Gunz on Instagram. Go check me out on Telegram if you haven't done that already. Please join up and get the deal for the NFL packages. But that's going to do it for me. For the MLB player performance, I will be back tomorrow, Sunday at 11 a.m. Going to bring a special guest on with me. Shark's not going to be there, but don't fret, my pet. I will still give you the plays that pay the bills, go through the entire card, and I will have an extra guy to bounce off of. Can't wait for Shark and the Gun NFL. Yeah, that is going to be coming. We're already playing in that one. Same thing with college football. It's going to be right here on the J.A. Cavalier channel. So that's going to do it for me. Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the bowl. And as always, yep, let's keep dancing.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.